Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Shadowed City podcast. I am your host, Larry, and this is The Shadows Within. I got a few shows to go over. Also, Brittany Diamond and I will be moving Breaking Kayfabe to Thursday, 6 p.m. East Tennessee time. So stay tuned for that. All the shows I'm going over: NWA Battle at the Battery, 2026 is first. NWA Rules, Ace Green versus Shane GM, with Shane GM walking out victorious. Holland versus Tank, with Holland walking away victorious. The Dog, Rob Anderson versus Alpha, with the Dog walking away victorious. Cash Gordy versus the Demon, with the Demon walking away victorious. Isaac Frost versus Turtle Harrington, with Isaac Frost walking away victorious. Outlaw versus Lil Devil, with Lil Devil walking away victorious. Ranger Rogue versus Big T, with Ranger Rogue walking away victorious. WWM Television Championships, Big Tua versus the champion Nels Wade, with Nels Wade retaining the gold. Falls Count Anywhere, Link versus Carnage, with Link walking away victorious. Women's IC Championship, Reagan Anderson versus the champion Tyda Baz, with Reagan Anderson walking out the new champion. World Heavyweight Championship, 2 out of 3, Buster Anderson versus Ronan Gage, with Ronan Gage walking out the champion. And in the main event, Iron Man title for title, Jack Graves versus Ranger Zero, with Ranger Zero walking out the new champion and retaining the gold. Now for GPW WWM Ascension, the Cold Front versus Ranger Lee and Ranger Zero, with Ranger Lee and Ranger Zero walking out victorious. Extreme Rules Southern Psycho versus Riot, with Riot walking away victorious. 22nd GPW Rules Amber Sky Schmitz versus War Maiden, with Amber Sky Schmitz walking out victorious. Michael Link McIntyre versus Alexander the Judge, with Alexander the Judge walking out victorious. Sebastian Storm versus Gage Payton versus Jaybird, with Sebastian Storm walking out victorious. The Red Wolves versus Sam Skull and Jack Skull, with Sam and Jack Skull walking away victorious. 22nd GPW Rules Tommy Gunn versus Frank Ortiz, with Frank Ortiz walking out victorious. Falls Count Anywhere, Makoa versus Buster Anderson, Buster Anderson walking out victorious. 22nd GPW Rules Risa Destroyer versus King Khan, with King Khan walking out victorious. 22nd GPW Rules Nels Wade versus Jack Graves, with Jack Graves walking out victorious. The One Rules in the One Championship on the line. Alpha versus the champion Ranger Rogue, with Ranger Rogue retaining the gold. Now we're going to go over WCCW. There was a promo to kick off the show, and then the matches were the Moss Sisters versus Mayhem Flawless Twins, with Mayhem Flawless Twins walking out victorious. Lung Tono Seo won her match. Emily Ross versus Steph MZ SGK, with Steph MZ SGK walking out victorious. Big Fran versus Nova Penny, with Nova Penny walking out victorious. Big Tina Rose versus Heirs of Tarus member, with Tina Rose walking out victorious. There was an elimination chamber between Giovanni DeLuca, Ali Nasir Mohammed versus the Big Dog Andre Robinson, versus Big Reese versus Tombstone versus Primetime Jojo, with Primetime Jojo walking away victorious. Big Ace Dog versus El Vipiro, with El Vipiro walking out victorious. Nikita Evans versus Dawn, with Nikita Evans walking out victorious. Another WCCW show, 3-on-1 handicap, The Judgment versus Eric Knight, with The Judgment walking out victorious. The Moss Sisters versus Mayhem Flawless Twins, with Mayhem Flawless Twins walking out victorious. Danny Marcella versus Statavia Hellborn, with Statavia Hellborn walking out victorious. The Amazon versus Emily Ross, with the Amazon walking out victorious. Dawn versus Jessica Drake, with Jessica Drake walking out victorious. Pamela Platinum versus Olivia, with Pamela Platinum walking out victorious. Carl Cannon versus Justin Edward Lee, with Justin Edward Lee walking out victorious. Big Ace Dog versus TD, with TD walking out victorious. Nova Penny versus Mother Russia, with Mother Russia walking out victorious. Now for All-Star Pro. Classic, and this was the All-Star Pro Tetsujin show. Classic Heavyweight Championship, Derek Sicario versus the champion Damian Briggs, with Derek Sicario walking out the new champion. Grindhouse Championship, Rockstar Triz versus Juan Sanchez versus Shaquille versus Montgomery Sherman, with Juan Sanchez walking out victorious. Women's World Championship, Rose Wilson versus the champion Madison Outlaw, with Madison Outlaw retaining the gold. International Championship, Adam Matthews versus Cold Steel, with Cold Steel walking out victorious. Underground Championship, Akane versus Frank Ortiz, with Akane walking out victorious. Turtle Harrington versus the Dog Rob Anderson, with Dog Rob Anderson walking out victorious. Apex Tournament Finals, Baby Bone Crusher versus Shin Joan, with Baby Bone Crusher walking out victorious. Grand Prix Championship, AJ Albright versus Kabuki Dragon, with AJ Albright walking out victorious. Classic Women's Championship, Sonya Ortiz versus Reagan Anderson, with Reagan Anderson walking out victorious. Apex Finals, Sean Smith versus Lil Devil, with Lil Devil walking away victorious. Larry Loco versus Damian Briggs for the Heavyweight Championship, Larry Loco walking out the champion. All-Star Pro Havoc Season 4, Episode 9, Scrap Trap Akane versus Crimson, with Akane walking out victorious. Britt Graves versus Baby Bone Crusher, with Baby Bone Crusher walking out victorious. Nitro Cruz versus TDM, with TDM walking out victorious. Nagasaki versus Ace Thompson, with Nagasaki walking out victorious. Amaya Bryant versus Emma Rose, with Emma Rose walking out victorious. Television Championship, AJ Woods versus the champion KD, with AJ Woods walking out the new champion. Buster Anderson versus Adrian Danger, with Buster Anderson walking out victorious. Christine St. James versus Madison Outlaw, with Christine St. James walking out victorious. And in the main event, Rob Liefler versus Larry Loco, with Larry Loco walking out victorious. Now for EWS in their 2K26 debut. The 707 Bad Boy versus Kyle Burton versus KD versus Lockjaw, the champion for the EWS World Heavyweight Championship, with KD walking out the new champion. Cali Hex Dynasty versus the Hellspawn Dynasty, with Cali Hex Dynasty walking out victorious. Johnny Exodus versus Onyx Callahan, with Onyx Callahan walking out victorious. Sebastian Steele versus Shaquille, with Sebastian Steele walking out victorious. Jasmine versus Susie, with Susie walking out victorious. Little Demois Dynasty versus Azteca and Talos Piper, with Little Demois Dynasty walking out victorious. James Maller versus Carter Justice, the champion for the EWS TV Championship, with James Maller walking out the new champion. Starlight versus Laura Little versus Haven Callahan versus Luna Dustfire for the EWS TV title. And Starlight walked out victorious. And in the main event, the Crusade of Chaos versus the champions, the Coalfield Brothers, for the EWS Tag Team Championships, with the Coalfield Brothers retaining the gold. And that's what I had to go over at the moment, ladies and gentlemen. Also, IZW's show, Bloodsport, should be today. Stay tuned for that. Brought to you by Jack Graves, of course. And yeah, I do hope everybody has a great day, good night, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever y'all may be. And peace out.